Hey everyone, Jamie here of Misc Paper, and I'm back with another video about how I go about keeping track of my scrapbook data. This is the second in a series of videos, so I'm going through how I track my projects, how I track my spending, and then also how I track the products that I purchase to make sure that I'm utilizing them. So thank you so much for tuning in. Then we get into the spending side of things. So I want to add, not a disclaimer here, but I just want to say that I'm not sharing any dollar amounts because no one really needs to see that. As you can see, I do make a lot of purchases that are in the scrapbooking category, and I recognize that that's a privilege and that I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do that. But it's and I'm not trying to justify or say anything other than the majority of my discretionary income goes towards scrapbooking stuff. Like, I don't spend a lot on money. Whoa. I don't spend a lot on clothes. I don't spend a lot on shoes or makeup or home decor items or anything like that. I mean, I guess the only other category where I spend money in is books. But the majority of the money that I do spend is in the scrapbooking category. And this is the fun money, right? This is after we've paid all of our bills and everything on that side of, and we've put money in savings and that stuff. And every house, every family has different budgets and different things like that. And I totally recognize and understand that. I just want to say that I recognize that I'm very blessed to be able to spend as much money as I do spend on the scrapbooking stuff. But again, it is the hobby that I love. My husband probably spends as much money on his hobby, which is golf, as I do on scrapbooking. And we're good with that in our family. So that's my little, I guess, disclaimer. But and I do, again, just want to recognize that I know that I am blessed and privileged to be able to do that. I know that not everyone can. So please don't come for me on that. To each family their own, right? And so let me just jump in here and kind of go through what I keep track of. So basically, I keep track of every scrapbook related purchase that I have. And I denote the shop that I purchased it from, some of the items, and then I categorize stuff just to kind of have a loose idea of where the money is going, and I'll show you that on a different spreadsheet. And then if there is a specific project that I made the purchase for, I put that in here. And I also have this column here where I add a 1 if I've used something from the purchase, and if not, there's just a blank there. And this for me was the one way I was kind of keeping track of whether or not I was using the products that I had purchased. And that worked for many years. And then this year I decided I wanted to take a new approach, which is what you'll see on an upcoming tab. But yeah, it's just a matter of keeping track of all of the various purchases that I've made throughout the year, so that I have a rough idea of how much I'm spending throughout the year and all of that. So on this next page, I keep track of all of the vendors that I purchase from, and I add a percentage there to show, where I'm spending the most money at. And as you can see here, I've spent the most money at Allie Edwards' site. That makes perfect sense to me. I love Allie stuff, and I will continue to purchase from Allie. And so it's no surprise to me that I end up spending the most money at Allie's shop. I think it was the case last year too. And then I keep track of the companies that I consider small businesses versus the big box stores, because it's very important for me that I am supporting the scrapbook industry, not just the larger craft stores that are getting money from several different hobbies, but I also really want to make sure that I'm supporting small businesses that are in this space, because there's a lot of really great smaller companies, and I want to make sure that I am contributing to them, and they make fantastic products. For me, I think a healthy split is like 80-20. So 80% of my money going towards small businesses and 20% going toward big box companies. And this year I've actually found that I've purchased more from smaller companies, which is pretty fantastic. I didn't intentionally set out to do that, but it's just kind of the trend for this year because so many of these companies have been coming out with great products, and I've just been gobbling them up as they come out. And then the last is categories. So I keep track, like I showed on here. I put in column E a category for each of the purchases. And so the majority of my money goes towards what I call Scrapbook. And these are going to be all of the products that are the fun products that we think of, like the fun pattern paper and the embellishments and the stamps and the washi and all of those fun things. And the majority of my money goes towards that. But then money also goes toward various supplies. So like adhesive, printer paper, printer ink, any kind of like refill things is what would fall under the supplies category for me. And so that is then the second largest group of supplies that I purchase. And then everything else is just kind of more miscellaneous things. Like if I go to an event, I'm also keeping track of the money that I spent toward storage items that I'm using in my scrap space specifically. And then also the subscriptions that I have subscribed to, the tools and the classes. And I'm going to say again here, like, I find this fun. I think it's fun to look at this data. I think it's fun to keep track of all of this. I am not advocating for everyone to go out and do this. If you want to do this, awesome. But this is just fun for me. And it may be interesting to you to see what is fun for me to do and maybe seems so weird to you. But I don't know why. I just like looking at data. It's fun for me. And so I get to see all of this, and I get to see how it changes from year to year because I've been doing this for a number of years. So like I think I even mentioned, last year, I think I spent the most money at Allie's as well. And so, it's interesting to see that. And then last year, I think I was a lot closer to that 80-20 split. It might have even been like 21-79, where I spent a little bit more than not that I should have, but, I think the balance is still there, but it's just interesting for me to see that.